Same.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Hurdle the Line review show brought to you by the AAW Network. Unfortunately for us, there is no Chapman this evening, so you'll have to deal with myself hosting. But luckily, we still have Tom and Ollie joining to cover a packed week 14 of NFL action. First off, lads, how was your weekend?
Good,
Yeah,
very good.
not bad.
I think
Yeah,
as
I
as it
went I
is
went out
most
for a
this
nice
week.
meal yesterday on Sunday for my one of my best friends. It's his birthday coming up, so we went to a place called Fazenda, which is like a Brazilian steakhouse. So that was very nice.
Love a Brazilian steakhouse.
It's just all you can eat food as well. You just keep going until you're completely full. So
There is no euphemism in this. It's just those places where you go, men whack meat out in front of you on a
yeah,
table and you just gobble it all up. I love it, man. I love it. What about you,
yeah.
Wally? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Just taking in them comments that you just made. I'm loving it.
Loving it. Good. Well, look, I ain't gonna complain. Kennesaw State won a Conference USA championship on Friday. I'm living off that. I am absolutely living off that. Um, won't talk about. We'll save the other conference championships for college football until Wednesday. Um, sure no one wants to talk about the rest of that. Actually, I might want to.
Nah, shout
Um,
out to Indiana, man.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'll just
The-
say this, by the way, this will come out on Wednesday. Never have I seen anyone more gracious in defeat or in a win than Ollie, right? Never. You could have the deepest, darkest rivalry like Michigan and Ohio State have. They clapped us a week ago, and Ollie was just like, listen, it was a good game. We did well. These were the things that we did. Could have been a dick about it, never was. Could have been a dick at the weekend, never was. I appreciate you for that, man. It's my favorite quality of yours, of your many qualities.
I
Anyway,
appreciate you.
plenty to talk about in this week's review show from Thursday Night Football all the way to Sunday Night Football. But before we get into it, don't forget to follow us, Hurdle the Line, and the AAW Network on social media. Join our free to join Discord server, and you can find all the relevant links and information in the description of this episode. If you are on YouTube, they are right below our beautiful faces. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple, you will find them inside the app that you are listening on. Couple of little pieces of news that'll come out of the weekend. Daniel Jones has suffered a torn ACL. That means he will
Hmm.
be out for the season. A tough, tough, tough to come back from. 9 month average recovery time. Might not even make it back in time for the start of next season. That's a huge blow for the Colts.
Massive.
Huge blow for Dan Jones as well. He was going to earn himself quite a lot of money, and I'm sure
Yep.
that money has somewhat gone down from what he was potentially going to earn with the torn Achilles. So
I mean,
Yep.
I think it kind of, and this isn't on him. It's on the Colts as an organization. He had a broken leg or broken fibula or whatever, and he was still he was still playing. And then off the back of that, then he tears his ACL. Like it's just yeah,
it's an Achilles tear, not an ACL.
wasn't his
Achilles.
ACL?
No, Achilles.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, is it?
Because I mean,
Okay.
because ACL, you know what I mean, 5, 6 months. But as you said, Fletch,
Minimum nine.
it's like 9 months because it was his Achilles.
Mm.
Was it? Well, ACLs tend to be 9 months
Yeah,
ish.
ACLs tend to be
No,
nine
not
Um,
months.
NFL nowadays, man. I mean, what's his name? Cam Akers came back from an ACL in 4 months. Achilles is the worst,
oh
in
yeah,
my
Achilles is the
opinion,
worst,
pretty
but
much the worst injury you can do, really.
um,
So that's what makes it even. That's what I mean. So
well,
that's what I mean. It's even more like devastating than obviously initially expected.
Yeah, so yeah, he's out for the season, and
well,
the Colts season is trending only in one direction at the current moment. With Riley Leonard, the backup, with Anthony Richardson still on injured reserve because of the orbital fracture that he suffered in
yeah.
preseason.
Just say by the way, as someone who's had an ACL tear and dealt with the operation after an ACL tear, 90% of it, the recovery, is getting your leg back up. So it wouldn't surprise me too much. 6 to 7 weeks is just the thing itself healing, and then the rest of it
Hmm.
is getting your leg back up to scratch, getting the help. So with sports science, it wouldn't surprise me if the NFL were able to afford a lot of the science to get
I was
leg
gonna, yeah,
strengthened
you know what I mean. And
quickly.
the average person, unfortunately, doesn't have the access to the medical science, as you said, the medical professionals, as you said.
Are you trying to
But
tell me the
yeah,
Oakland Medical Center of Salford does not have the equal, is not as good as the NFL's doctors?
I I never said that. Shout out to the NHS.
Always, always.
Always.
Um, Couple things from last night's game. Trent McDuffie had a hyperextended knee. Uh, and what was the other injury there, Tom, as well?
It was Wanye Morris. So I don't know if you've seen the highlights on it, but on the first play of the game, Wanye Morris, who was standing in at left tackle with the injuries to Jawan Taylor and to Trey Smith as well, he then goes down on the first play. Appears to be a lower leg injury. Gets, helped off the field and then carted into the locker room. So the Chiefs had their third left tackle in there, Essa Pole, who actually did a pretty admirable job. But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
yeah, symptomatic of the O-line injuries the Chiefs have suffered.
Yeah, and it's one of them. Like if an old lineman goes down, I mean, I was watching the game, I saw that go down, and he looked in a lot of pain. If an old lineman looks in that much pain, something's gone. Like something bad's happened there, because well, they're very, very, very tough cookies, those gentlemen. But let's get straight into this week's action. This week's action, the best game of the week. Turned out to be, who would have ever thought that Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen would be a fantastic game of NFL football to watch. It ended up 39-34 to the Buffaloes, who came back from a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter. I know, Tom, you got a good chunk of this game in. Like,
Mm.
what happened?
I mean, it was one of those games, the snow is coming down. It was it was just a back and forth battle. And early on it looked like the Bengals were gonna kind of run away with this game at one point. As you said, it was a 10-point game with about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then within the space of 5 minutes, there'd been three touchdowns. It was absolutely frantic. It was crazy. Um, Joe Burrow threw the ball. Christian Benford made a great play, ran it back for a touchdown. And then on his next passing down, the ball gets deflected and then intercepted by, I think, AJ Epinesa. So the Bills just kind of turned the tide of this game. It seemed like it was going all the Bengals' way. But then the Bills and Josh Allen just kind of he dominated the second half of this game, really. He had a 40-yard scrambling or 50-yard scrambling touchdown. He was just a monster in this one, and Joe Burrow made those two critical mistakes. And that was basically the game, 39-34, I think the final score was.
Yep.
T. Higgins as well, shout out to him for an incredible catch. One-handed with the corner draped on him. Like that was just insane. But yeah, the Bills get the better of the Bengals who fall to 4-9 and they're the thin hopes they had of making the playoffs, I think, have more or less evaporated now, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, 4-9, absolutely. Those playoff hopes gone. It was Benford who got the return.
Yeah,
As
Christian
Spencer
Benford.
did get an interception in the game, but obviously, um, it was Benford who uh got the pick six. And as I say, there's 7:33 left to go on the clock,
Yeah.
and yeah, so 7:33 left to go on the clock. It's a 10-point game, and
Yeah, it was 28-18 at that point, I think.
yeah, 28-18, three touchdowns. And the last one was scored with 3 minutes and 3 seconds left to go on the clock. So it's 4 minutes, 27 seconds, three touchdowns, game completely turned on its head.
Yep. And Josh Allen made an incredible play in this game as well. He was like scrambling. And then he found, I think it was Khalil Shakir, who was like just about in bounds. And I was like, that's just the creativity and the play of like, because it was a messy pocket as I was moving around. And then he just managed to zip it between three different defenders to Khalil Shakir, and I was like, yeah, damn, like Josh Allen is so fucking good, man.
Yeah. Oh, did you get much of this one in at all?
No, I didn't. I didn't get much of the 6 p.m. games because I'm a freak who puts myself through the Browns every single week. But obviously, Bill was able to come back into this game. There was points in this game where I was thinking, as I have many weeks this season, that the Bills are frauds and they're gonna blow another season with Josh Allen. Able to come back into this one that sets up a really interesting game. Obviously, next week against the Patriots. Um, with obviously a chance to take that to within one game going into the last 3 games of the season for the division. So Bills set themselves up nicely, get back into this one, needed this one, can't really be losing to a 4-8 team when you're in a playoff push, in a division push. So good win for them. But I just feel like at this point, and especially if the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, that if they fillet out again this year, I'm going to just be I say I'm going to be. I'm pretty much already done with their entire front office. But I think that will be the final nail in the coffin, and they'd have to get rid of everyone at this point. They just need to get into the playoffs and do well at the playoffs. But
Yeah.
obviously, as I said, good to get this win. You can't be losing to a 4-8 team in a playoff push, even if they do have Joe Burrow on the team. And obviously for the Bengals, hopefully they win one or two more games, get that draft position a little bit, worse for an individual team. But you know, as someone that never bought into they're going to make a run, and we do this every year, every time they're like 4-8 or 4-6, and Joe Burrow comes back off a little injury or whatever the injury is, and people go, "Oh, look, Joe Burrow's going to come back. He's going to lead them to the playoffs," and everyone buys into it, and it never works. So again, just the
Yeah.
same. You can't put yourself in that position and expect Joe Burrow to come in and win out and save your season for you. Um,
No,
Yeah.
just the
it's not a
Bengals completely.
realistic thing to think, is it really? Especially when you've already put yourself in that hole of 4-8, and now it's now it's figuring out what you're gonna do in the off season and what like are you gonna keep Zach Taylor? Are you gonna
Hopefully, for my
like
case, I hope they keep him.
I mean, might as well if they keep him, and it's gonna keep losing, and yeah, we'll just have to see how it plays out. But
I
clearly
mean,
they need they
this
need
is
to make
Burrow's sixth season.
reinforcement. Yeah, what, six
This is
seasons
Burrow's sixth season, and they've made the playoffs twice, and
and
every
then
other
missed the
season has looked
playoffs
like,
4 times, right?
yeah, every other season has looked like this season. It's just the
Yeah,
same thing every single time. So
Yeah.
literally.
But I say it's big for the Bills. The Patriots are on a bye week this week, so they can keep within 2 games of the Patriots. Like we've said before on this podcast, that schedule is a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
yeah,
They will tickle them. They will be tickled on the way to a
yeah, the Bills need to
division
beat
title,
them
but
and hope that someone that shouldn't beat the Patriots beats the Patriots.
I still
yeah,
can't believe the way that the Patriots have gone this season, that in week one they lost to the Raiders of all teams. Like it is just kind of mad to me.
That's why if you do gamble, you should never gamble on week one of an NFL season
No,
because
yeah, don't do that because it's
no
usually
week
the outlier.
no week churns out more surprising results than week one.
Yeah.
well, you got that good old phrase, week one is a liar.
Yeah,
Mm,
doesn't tell
And
you anything.
yeah,
100%.
exactly. Every year it's the same thing. Moving on though, um, we go to what was, I mean, to be fair, it was a relatively somewhat disappointing week, as Ollie said off camera. Like, you're not too many games, most of the results, you know what they're going to be, and it's all about the storyline, it's all about the implications. One game that did have some implications for the playoffs was Thursday night football. Dallas Cowboys, Detroit Lions. The Cowboys looking to make a playoff push, maybe slip in to some of those wild card positions. The Lions needed to get a win because, well, the NFC North would start to run away from them a bit too far and potentially could miss out on a playoff spot with a couple more losses. Lions get an important, big win at home against a hot Dallas Cowboys team. Obviously, I think it goes without saying, I watched this game. Did either of you two get any of this in?
I watched all of it as well, Fletch.
No, I'm an adult with a mortgage. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a reference to Finn Taylor. If anyone's ever seen the joke about him with NFL fans, no, I unfortunately don't book off days' work to watch the teams that aren't mine. Unfortunately, I wish I could. I really wish I could.
That's fair enough. Um, well, Lions walk away 44 to 30 winners. It was a, I won't say dominant display by the Lions, but it was somewhat comfortable for the majority of the game.
Mm,
Um, Dak Prescott was, as a whole, good,
mm.
but the touchdown to interception ratio being 1 to 2 doesn't particularly look great. Jared Goff had a decent day at the office as well, 25 of 34 for 309 and a touchdown. Jameson Williams for me was the star of this game
Mm.
on the Lions, and CD Lamb and Flournoy for
Oh, Flanoy, yeah, yeah, yeah.
the Cowboys. This was very much a game that was primarily played in the air. You would think all the touchdowns came in the air, except Jahmyr Gibbs gets a hat trick on the ground.
And now he's tied with um, Barry
Barry Sanders.
Sanders for the most touchdowns for a player before turning 24, which
Yep.
is insane. He's already got what, 45?
Yep.
Yeah, 45 touchdowns. Like, yeah, that's insane.
And another record that was broken by them is the Emmett Smith slash, I can't remember his name, the Cowboys RB2 from the 90s. They had the record for most touchdowns in a season by a duo.
Hmm.
David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs have smashed that one, and there's more games to go, which is a really, oh, I thought that was a pretty cool stat anyway.
Gibbs is up to
Um,
what, like 17 touchdowns or something now?
I'm double check.
I think it's something like that. I read afterwards.
Um, right, nope, it's not standings I want. But like I said, as a whole, it was a good game, but it was mostly the Lions went ahead 10 to 3 early. The Cowboys kind of couldn't punch it into the end zone. Half ends 20 to 9 to the Lions, and then it was just a case of keeping the foot on the gas, not letting the Cowboys run back into it. Scoring on the first, getting a touchdown on the first play of the second half was probably the biggest. I said to the people I was watching with at the time, I was like, this is it. That's the game. That's the game right there. Um,
But they hung around, to be fair to the Cowboys. Like every
never
time
gave
the
up.
Lions went ahead, the Cowboys responded and came back and, got it to within a 3-point game with about, what, 6 minutes left or something like that. And then obviously the Lions get two touchdowns towards the end of the game to kind of add some gloss to the scoreline. Um, but even though it felt like it was a dominating game on offense, it was not a dominating game on defense from the Lions though. And unfortunately,
No.
Brian Branch going out as well. He tore his ACL, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a
So
nasty
that's
one.
a big miss for the Lions secondary moving forward.
I'm not even gonna lie. Like, because this was Thursday night and I wasn't particularly expecting to be on tonight. I've slept since. I've not forgotten a lot of the game, but I wasn't thinking about how I'm putting this together. So I mean, they said they never once went away. At one point, they thought it fought and looked like they were going to start making it close. Obviously, the
Mm,
Lions score on the first play of the second half. Cowboys answer back with a touchdown. Then they answer back with a field goal as well. Lions get a field goal. Then the Cowboys come back with a touchdown and 2-point conversion to make it a 3-point game early in the
mm,
fourth quarter. And you just aren't sure whether. I mean, again, it's like you start flapping a little bit. Is there some bullshit that's going to happen that tends to happen when you play the Cowboys? And I know a lot of teams feel that way. But like I said, the Lions ended up putting it back to bed and running away with it a little bit. Dak Prescott throwing those interceptions did help. And my only last thing I want to say on the game is that Dak Prescott was asked before the game what he remembers the last time the the Cowboys played the Lions at Ford Field, and his response was, "We lit them up, and we're about to do it again."
Mm.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. What happened? Moving on though, the Lions. So the Lions walk away. Lions are 8-5. The Cowboys are 6-1. And a game that comes off this game that the Lions, I know Lions fans were paying somewhat close attention to. It's a double hate watch. You have to be happy one team loses. You have to be upset that one team wins. The Packers and the Bears, they went at it in a game that looked very, very, very comfortable for the Green Bay Packers. For the majority of the game, the Bears gave it a run back, but the Packers run away with a win. Tom, again, I know you caught a good chunk of this. You are the de facto kind of a bit of a Chiefs, not Chiefs, Packers fan. Um,
I do like the
what?
Packers, to be fair. I've made that known. Even though I didn't pick them only one night, I did not pick them to go to the Super Bowl this year, unlike I did last year. But they seem to be kind of rounding into form as a very good team right now because they went through a bit of a stretch where they were winning games, but they weren't winning them very, you know, comfortably, convincingly. Whereas now, this win against the Bears, obviously I know it got close in the fourth quarter, but the majority of the game, the Packers were kind of dominating the Bears at times. Christian Watson himself, he had two touchdowns, 90 yards. Um, Josh Jacobs had a ridiculous play where he was dead to rights and then somehow burst through the gap and just just made magic really. Um, and Jordan Love continues, whenever it's Toyotathon, he dominates and it continues to do so. So he played pretty well in this one after an early pick. He had an absolute dart to Bo Melton as well for a touchdown. But I guess off the back of this game, the storylines we're thinking of are, you know, I think we know that the Bears are actually good, off the back of this game. The fact that they were able to come back and arguably if Caleb Williams makes a better throw or makes a different decision in that moment, they could have potentially gone on and won that game. But fair play to the Packers. Yeah, they played very well, especially on offense. Not so much defensively. I'm pretty sure that Micah didn't get a sack in this one. Um, but yeah, fair play to the Bears for coming back into it, and Caleb Williams was with some really nice throws as well. But I think we know both teams are for real, and they play each other again in another couple of weeks as well.
I
Yeah.
will slightly, as the resident Caleb Williams fanboy, I will slightly defend Taylor because we obviously spoke about this in our group chat, Tom. I don't quite. And obviously, it's a first time head coach. Obviously, he's been great this year. Obviously, this is not me trying to say that he's, but I don't understand the decision there of calling a play where you're trying to get a touchdown, which is clearly, you can say he made the wrong decision, but clearly the intent of that play was to get a touchdown with the routes that they were running on 4th and 1 when you had enough time and two timeouts to just pick up that 1 yard, reset, have an extra set of four downs to then figure out how to get the touchdown with two timeouts and about 20 seconds on the clock. Don't get me wrong, Taylor Williams, with what he had and what the play call was, he obviously made the wrong decision with that throw. I completely agree with that. But I do think, obviously, as someone that has glazed Ben Johnson this season, I think it's important that I do criticise him where I think necessary. And I do think the play calling at the end there from Ben Johnson wasn't the best play calling. But the of you, Fletch, who were you rooting for the most in this game? Is what I'm interested in. And I'm going to assume that I'm going to assume it's the Packers, and I'm assuming you felt awful about rooting for the Packers. But to
Yes.
the way I see it, that we spoke about this last week. I think it comes down to the Lions or the Bears. I think the Packers have done enough and put themselves in a position enough, especially with that
Mm.
tie instead of a loss that obviously helps them out. That it's obviously going
Plus,
to come
they
down to the
swept
Bears.
the Lions, didn't they? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously you lose out on tiebreakers, so it was always going to be the Bears that was the team that you had to leave. So I suppose what I want to know is how did it feel rooting for the Packers in this game?
Right. So do you remember the Gary Neville quote? It's like choosing whether you want your best mate or your brother to bang your wife, like
Yeah,
that. Similar to that, I think it goes along those kind of lines. It felt like a bit of a double-edged sword. So you have to put it then to there are benefits to if the Bears win, then it means such and such. If the Packers win, it means such and such. And then you have to go on to, well, yeah, it's the tiebreakers. If we have to be in a battle and with the same record as one of those two teams, we need to be on that level with the one where we have the tiebreakers. We don't have tiebreakers with the Packers, but what we do have at least right now is that time where we put belt to ass on the Bears earlier this
Mm.
season. And I'm not saying we'll do that again. Um, but it will come down to things like that kind of game where we at least have that going in our favor. So yeah, Packers, but you're splitting hairs for the most part, and I threw up about 6 times every time I thought about it and thought it through. So it wasn't good. It wasn't a nice feeling. It wasn't a nice day. So thankfully, the chaos of college football this weekend existed to take my mind off it a little bit. Um, I say though the Packers win, they go to 9-3-1. The Bears go to 9-4 after that loss, and it puts the standings with the Packers on top by half a game, the Bears in second by that half a game, and then the Lions are 1 game behind the Bears. It gets a little bit tasty towards the end of the season. The Packers have the Broncos are on the road to the Broncos,
Mm.
on the road to the Bears. They have then the Ravens at home and on the road to the Vikings. The Bears have the Browns at home, the Packers at home, road to the Niners, Lions at home. Sorry, Lions at home, and then finally the Lions have the Rams this weekend
Mm.
on the road, Steelers at home, Vikings on the road on Christmas Day, then the Bears on the road. So fun running towards the end of the season. I don't think any of these three teams are going to get a cakewalk to winning the NFC North. Um, but it does look more like if anyone's got to do it, the Packers will probably do it now. Anyway, what was the next game on the list? I mean, okay, we'll move on to the Titans and Browns because there's a particular thing I want to talk about once we towards the end of this game. But Ollie, run us through it. Titans walk away 31-29 winners. Listen, the preview team, we all had a This is the first time I think we've ever all had a Cleveland Browns win pen down, so it might be our fault that you lost this one.
well, you should have listened to the review show after the Jets game, where I obviously made the declaration then that no team, whether it's the Jets, whether it's the Titans, whoever, no team can out tank the Cleveland Browns. So even though every reason why the Browns should have won this game, I mean, don't get me wrong, this was the 32nd ranked offense in terms of yards, first downs, etc., against the 31st ranked offense. So they pretty much, cancelled each other out offensively. But this was one of the three worst defenses in the NFL going up against one of the top three defenses in the NFL. So just that matchup alone made you think that this was, the Browns should have won this game. All they had to do was do the basics. But as I said, no one can out-tank the Cleveland Browns, and the Browns lose this game. It was quite a interesting game. It was quite an exciting game, considering. I mean, Cam Ward versus Shadur Sanders, all of that storyline that brings. Two guys that 10 months ago were viewed as the top two quarterbacks in this draft, battling for that number one pick. Fast forward today, and one was the first pick, and one was a fifth round pick. Um, Obviously, if you just watch this game in a vacuum, you would obviously think that Shadur Sanders was the first overall pick, with obviously the performances from both players. But as I said, it was a back and forth game. The Titans were able to pull away pretty much in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, 14-point lead. And then Shadur Sanders, credit to him, was able to pull this team back into the game, scored 2 touchdowns late, which has now obviously brought on the age-old argument of analytics of do you go for two in that situation when you're down 8 after scoring a touchdown after being down 14, which I don't know. I won't get into it on here, but everyone knows my opinion on that as the analytically approached person on this podcast. I had no problem with the Browns going for two in that situation, because in that situation I go for two the first attempt every single time, because then that gives me more options and I know what I have to do on the second time. We're a 3-9 football team. Well, we're a 3-9 football team, 3-10 now. I'm not interested in playing for overtime. I'm interested in playing to lose this game. Obviously, that's what I wanted. But the Browns are interested in playing to win this. You're playing to win a game. You're not playing to go to overtime. So that's why I have no problem with that decision. But obviously, the play calls that they made in these decisions is what has led to the most hilarious ending to this game, which was the Browns essentially losing to a failed 2-point conversion where Quinshon Judkins forgot to pass the ball, well, hand the ball off to Gage Laverdane, and instead just fumbled it, ran towards the end zone, threw the ball across the field, and that was all she wrote, which was one of the most hilarious ways the Browns have lost a game in quite a long time, and that's saying something from the Cleveland Browns. But I would be remiss to not bring up Shadur Sanders in his game. That's the storyline from this game. Shadur Sanders, 364 yards, 3 touchdowns in the air, 1 touchdown on the ground. First Browns quarterback, not just rookie, first Browns quarterback with over 300 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown in Browns history. So obviously, shout out to him. First rookie this year with over 300 yards passing. As I said, if you watch this game in a vacuum, you would think that Shadur Sanders was the number one pick, not Cam Ward. But obviously, when you factor in Cam Ward was going up against our defense and all of that stuff, I think that's unfair to Cam Ward to make that assessment. But obviously, I'm the Browns fan, so I'm going to sit here and talk about Shadur Sanders. And obviously, I was impressed with Shadur. Can't make any faults in this game. Obviously a rookie, they make mistakes throughout a game, but when you throw for over 350 yards and 3 touchdowns, you can't really make any complaints. Overall, the Browns successfully completed the tank this weekend. Shadur Sanders looked pretty good, so I had a good weekend.
How did the Titans look, by the way? I saw Chimere DK scored another touchdown.
Tony Pollard had like 84 yards rushing before contact, so I think the Titans fans will be happy, much happier with their offensive line performance in this game. But I mean, it was basically it gets boring in these kind of games, in these matchups, and everyone thinks like, oh, Myles Garrett licking his lip. These games get boring because when you are hindered and you don't have the ability, you don't have the trust in any of your tackles to take on Myles Garrett. No one has the trust for anyone to take on Myles Garrett, but to at least somewhat slow him down. Then your whole game plan is essentially just throw 3 guys to that side, whatever Myles is on every single snap. And at that point, I'll be honest, it just gets a little bit boring. Because the play calls get so conservative because what you're doing with that. But in the end of the day, I don't blame them. They're playing Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett. Obviously, I shouldn't finish without saying Myles Garrett, even in despite of that, and in what was this is a bad game for Myles. This is what is called a down game for Myles in what this performance in this game. Obviously, in the context of this defense, still had 3 tackles for loss, still had this sack, the only sack in this game. Which now takes him to 20. Only him and Reggie White have ever got to 20 sacks in 13 games. One of, I think, 17 players in NFL history to ever have 20 sacks. 3 away from the record. 4 games left to play. It's more a matter of when, not if now.
So thank you for that. As I said, there's a specific thing I wanted to bring up during this game. While we talk about this game, Myles Garrett has 20 sacks. The Baltimore Ravens have 19. The Carolina Panthers have 18. The San Francisco 49ers have 16. Myles Garrett has more sacks than 3 franchises have through through the 14th week of the season. That is insane. Like I was when reading that, I was like, I don't quite think there are enough people out there who realize just how insane that actually is.
Yeah.
to have, by this point in a season, an individual player with more sacks than an entire team. Now, granted, there are only so many players who are going to get sacks on a team, but it's still insane just to think about how, and he's seven ahead of the next person up. And people were talking last night on the Texans Chiefs game about how great their defensive front is, about how Will Anderson and what's his name,
Neil Hunter.
Daniel Hunter, yeah.
Daniel Hunter have are the only duo to have double-digit sacks each. But even then, what put together the 1.5 ahead, one ahead of Miles Garrett.
I mean, you say he's however many ahead, Fletch. In the last 5 games, just the sacks he's had in the last 5 games would put him second in the NFL this year. Um, if the Browns were in a playoff position right now, I genuinely think he would be in the top 3 MVP discussion, not just in Defensive Player of the Year discussion. This is one of the best seasons, individual seasons. Obviously, it's a team sport. Obviously, you can attribute all of the lack of success for the team onto it, whatever. But when we're just talking purely from an individual, this is one of the best individual seasons we've seen from a defensive player in NFL history. And I just hope that he doesn't just break the record, but smashes the record. He set himself a goal. He's gone out. I mean, I wouldn't, if I'm chasing a record, I wouldn't go out and say, yeah, my goal is 25, not just to break the record, but get 25. I wouldn't say that because I wouldn't put
Mm.
that pressure on myself. But obviously, Myles Garrett has that confidence in himself that he's not going to just break the record, but he's going to smash the record. And obviously, that's going to be a good bragging rights for me. My Super Bowl this season is Myles Garrett breaking that record, and Carson Schwarzenegger winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. So, and obviously he
Mm.
continued that campaign in this game. Once again, I think there's probably been 1 or 2 games this year where he hasn't led the team in tackles, and he's a rookie. So that's my Super Bowl this year.
Yeah. In your last 4 games, you got the Bears, the Bills, the Steelers, and the
Yep.
Bengals. So he might do
Oh,
that
that
against them.
Bengals game, he could get like 3 in that.
We're talking. We might have some breathing space between the records. We might have a good bit of breathing space because
Yeah.
I
It's
reckon.
tough because I want him to break the record against the Steelers, but then I'm also like I don't want him to be sat not breaking the record with the
Mm.
last 2 games. I get a little
Yeah.
bit nervous then. So it's like I
What
want him to
if?
break the record straight away, but
I mean, I know. Look, you're a Browns fan. You're gonna take Garrett over anyone, anything, anytime. But if he gets it at the weekend against the Bears and has to just keep dropping Caleb Williams all game, that one's gonna be a bit like, oh, for crying out loud. Like, why that one?
yeah, you might, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah,
you're
how would you
starting
feel
to.
about that if he did it against Caleb? Would you be like, sorry, Caleb, he just had to do
Guys, it's Myles Garrett. I don't care what my opinions are on any player. He has full right to go and take their head off.
it? Nice.
Understandable. I respect it. Which games do you want to jump to next? Because you're starting to get into a little bit of disappointing. There's the Colts, Jags, Saints, Bucks, and anything else after this. Texans, Chiefs.
I
Anything
was gonna
after that, you
say
can just
I could
block it
say
out for
about the
me.
Saints Bucks game, but like not really that much because it wasn't that great of a game to be honest with
No.
you. I mean
Um.
the Bucks continue to falter.
Yep.
Bucky Irvin did get a touchdown in this one. Tyler Shuff played actually pretty decent in this one. Had 2 rushing touchdowns, including one from like 25 yards out. He took a lick on the second one as well. He looked like he was going to get sacked, and he like bounced off and then went in for a touchdown. So that's fair enough to him. Um, but yeah, the Bucks continue to falter. I think they got the same record as the Panthers now. And as Ollie was writing before we joined on the pod, how Baker Mayfield has played pretty atrocious recently. Um, so yeah, I'll let Ollie go on to that one. But the Bucks same record as the Panthers, and they're trending in the wrong direction right now.
You're pointing me out as like a Baker Mayfield hater. I promise. As much as everyone thinks I'm a Baker Mayfield hater, I'm not a Baker Mayfield hater. Um, no, obviously we have a running joke because on this very podcast, Tom and Chapman, after the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, Baker Mayfield had some pretty good performances, and they, MVP shouts, etc., etc. Rightfully so. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have. Obviously, he was playing as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. But obviously, I said it then that I didn't expect it to last. And obviously, as you said, Tom, I mean, from week 7 to 14, he's statistically been, one of, if not the worst quarterback in the NFL, which is obviously hindering their chances of making this play. I mean, they play in a division that is absolutely terrible, if we're being honest. The Panthers is a good story, but it's still the 7-6 Panthers. And they've now, as you said, Tom, they've now fell to the same record as the Panthers. And if they blow that division to the Panthers, then obviously not going to be a great season for them. But I think as well, which I can talk about Baker Mayfield's regression, but as I said, I promise I'm not a hater. I'm going to call out people that that I like, that I have to like. Emeka Ibuka, obviously former Ohio State Buckeye,
Mm.
he has been a shell of what he was the first 6-7 weeks of the season, and has been plagued with drops and some pretty bad performances the last few weeks. So just been kind of overall all bad vibes in Tampa Bay the last 6 weeks of the season. And if they do make the playoffs, it feels like they're going to try to stumble their way into the playoffs and lose in the first round, because it just doesn't feel like they've got any momentum at the minute.
Yeah. Um, the only thing I want to really say on this game is the Saints kicker, Charlie Smith, someone
Mm.
who we've spoken about previously on this podcast, made his debut last week, and we speak about him because he is Irish. He was one of the few to come through, get in last year on the International Player Pathway Program, and like I said, made his debut last week. Was free for free on PATs and nailed a 30-yarder. Shout out to Pro Football Ireland, Michael McQuaid and the guys over there who've been in Mayo Bridge watching in Charlie Smith's local pub with
Mm.
his dad, with his family, and all that kind of thing. And shout out, like the scenes in the pub were insane. People cheering for a PAT, not asked about the touchdown, but then the PAT gets scored and everyone jumps up and roars and the field goals. And it's
They
just
go they
it's a
go for two, and they're all booing like, no,
yeah,
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
why are you going for two? Guys, they need 2 points to win the game. I don't care.
yeah. It's just it's so nice to see a little pub um in Ireland having all of that going on, and nice to see someone from this side of the pond getting all the love and doing really well. Shout out Charlie, man. Like, congratulations. It's really, really, really cool to see. And as you say, just to kind of wrap that up on that game, Bucks fall to 7-6. Saints jump to a whopping 3-10. Watch out, last 4 games. They're clearly coming for you, but it's now between the Panthers and the Bucks for the
Well,
division. And
can one thing I will say actually on this game, thank you, Saints. Thank you to Mrs. Fletch for your Saints, because now my Browns have jumped to the Saints, and we own our destiny. And, obviously, if we finish on the same amount of wins as the Saints, we get the higher pick. So shout out to the Saints, another team that falls to the Browns tank.
Ollie says thank you for the Saints winning yesterday. So it's all in a day's work. It's fine. Um, Moving on to let's do Colts Jags. Let's hit Colts Jags first. Just because there's one stat on this, and well, Tom, you can get the next one out. You just get that one out the way. The Jags battered the Colts. Obviously, as has been said, Daniel Jones goes out with a torn Achilles. He was 5 of 7 for 60 yards and an interception. Was looking okay. I guess to
Arguably,
start the
what to
game.
call him's best game as a pro. You'd have to argue. Trevor
Yeah.
Lawrence's best game as a pro, maybe.
Quite possibly. I mean, he was 17 of 30 for 244, 2 touchdowns. Um, and but obviously in steps Riley Leonard. That's a tall, tall task for a rookie to come in, play against a Jags team that, well, see what you want about the offense. The defense has been good all year, and that's been a good defense. Tall task for them, and yeah, Riley Leonard can't get it done. He goes 18 of 29, so efficient in terms of like getting the ball out, 145 yards and an interception, no touchdowns. So a
He
rough,
did
rough
rush
day
for a
for him.
touchdown, though, I think, as well.
He did, sorry, yeah, he did. He yeah, two rushes, 5 yards and a touchdown with a long of six. So I'm guessing the other run was a 1 yard loss.
Yeah,
Um,
must have been.
but Jonathan Taylor obviously gets a touchdown. That was always going to happen. That was never not going to be a thing. But it was it was all Jags almost all day.
Yeah,
As soon
yeah,
as
yeah,
soon as Daniel Jones went out, I think,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, even
that
before
was.
Daniel Jones went out, he threw a horrible pick as well. So he clearly, is hampered by the injury too. And then just then on top of that, to see him fall with a non-contact injury, you knew it was bad. He did manage to walk off the field, but then it got confirmed afterwards it was a torn Achilles. So. The Colts season is unraveling before our eyes. They traded two firsts for Sauce Gardner as well, and he's out injured right now too. So, this all-in approach doesn't seem to have worked for this season, with that Daniel Jones injury, because as much as, Riley Leonard came in and was capable, they've not got an easy stretch these last four games. They got some tough games, I think. I've looked at their schedule.
I mean, I don't even think if you're a Colts fan, do you even want to make the playoffs and watch Riley Leonard play in a playoff game? Because
Mm.
as we said, Daniel Jones is out for the season. Anthony Richardson is now, well, not now, but he's been out for the season. So if I'm a Colts fan, I don't even think I want to watch. But then at the end of the day, I have no incentive for losing out because I traded two first round picks to the Jets for Sauce Gardner. We said at the time that was a bad move, even when it looked like the Colts were in a good position. Now it looks like an absolutely disastrous move. You went all in on a corner when you don't even know what your quarterback situation is, which is just
Mm.
absolutely disastrous in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Colts are in an absolutely terrible situation. There's no fault of their own. Obviously, you don't wish injuries on anyone. Um, but I must admit, even though it has pained me because my team owns their pick, and this is the first time in their entire history where they've ever gotten up to the currently held the 27th pick. That would be the highest they've ever picked in the draft. Because the one year they made the championship game, they had a trade and obviously had a higher pick. So obviously it pains me, but I will admit it has been funny, Tom, the last couple of weeks with Tom's agenda against Trevor Lawrence. And he keeps on winning games. And for Tom to come out here and say on this podcast tonight that this is one of the better games of Trevor Lawrence's career, I know how much that hurts, Tom.
Yeah, yeah. It just goes to show, like a couple of weeks ago, he was couldn't even hit a barn door, and now
And it's
over the last like three games or something, or 3 or 4 games, he's thrown 9 touchdowns, had 0 interceptions, and has like 65% accuracy. So yeah, way to go, Trevor Lawrence, for making me look like a dickhead.
Tom,
Which
Tom
is
messaged at
great.
one point in this game, Trevor Lawrence is the most inaccurate quarterback I've ever seen. And I think the very next play is where he threw that touchdown. And Tom's like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah,
So at least he owns it. At
yeah.
least he
I
owns
just I got to pick my moments, and
it.
clearly, but
But the thing is, though,
I'm rooting for the Jags to win now anyway, so I have to
Well,
be a Trevor Lawrence lover,
it,
at least for the
I
rest of
mean,
the season.
we'll get to it. We'll get to it at the end with obviously when we get into playoff things. But again, I think with the similar with the North now, I don't think either of these two teams should be in your rear view. Well, I say rear view. Sorry, obviously in your front view
Yeah,
mirror. Um, because as we've all said, I think the Colts. I mean, their season is done. That you said it. They've got the toughest schedule remaining out of those AFC South teams. They're going to fall out of the playoffs. The Jags are going to win that division unless the Texans have something to say about it. But obviously, we'll get into it with the Texans and Chargers, etc. But yeah, just really, really unfortunate for the Colts. I don't understand why they went all in on a corner anyway, but they did, and now they don't even know what their quarterback situation is, and they have no first round pick for 2 years. So good luck.
yeah. I see. We'll get into the playoff implications very, very shortly. But one fact I find really interesting is the Jags have not lost at home to the Colts since 2014.
Mm.
That's just one thing they don't like. It's just one. I say one thing they don't do in Jacksonville. Maybe it's just a thing that the Colts, them, as an organization, can't do is travel to Jacksonville and do anything. Um,
It's like even that
but
game where, do you remember where the Colts could have made the playoffs with Carson Wentz, and then they traveled to Jacksonville to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
a 2-11 or like 2-13 Jacksonville team, and they lost that game, and then they didn't get in the playoffs, and because they didn't deserve to because they lost to the lowly Jags at the time, who I think they were like 2-15, weren't they? Only?
some, I won't say, well, I
Yeah,
don't think they
yeah,
were
yeah.
2-15, but yeah. Um, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
the Colts just cannot seem to win. It doesn't matter who the head coach is, doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They can't win in Jacksonville. It just doesn't happen. But this game did have implications to an extent. I say not even to an extent because the Texans were in it, so it's an AFC South team. But it also does somewhat potentially affect the Chiefs, who lost to the Texans 20-10. Tom, one, tell us about the game, and two, tell us how sweaty are you getting? How sweaty is it just outside the playoff
Um,
cup bubble?
what to say about this game? Fair play to the Texans that they played very well, especially in the first half. They had a 10-0 lead to start with. They held the Chiefs scoreless at home for the first time since 2018 at halftime, so it was 10-0 at halftime. Then the Chiefs defense came out to play in the second half. They dominated. They forced five straight punts from the Texans. Chris Jones, who'd been, people have been talking, he hasn't been as impactful as he has in past seasons, but he had a monster game. He had a sack, he had seven pressures, he had a tackle for a loss. He was causing all sorts of disruption to, that Texans O line, especially their rookie in the O line was just getting taken apart. So the Chiefs then go on a run. They scored 10 straight points, including a 4th-and-1 touchdown where it looked like Kareem Hunt was dead to rights from Daniil Hunter, but he somehow bounced off another tackle and made his way into the end zone, which was really crucial. Because then we kicked the field goal. We missed the field goal as well in the first half. Harrison Butker hit the outside of the upright, and then he just about squeaks through the second field goal. Then it's 10-10. And then this is where, it all kind of started to unravel for the Chiefs. Andy Reid, he went for it. This is in the fourth quarter. It's 10-10 game. I think there's about 10 minutes left. He goes for it on 4th-and-1 from the Chiefs 38-yard line. Um, and, the play call wasn't great anyway. But the ball falls incomplete. Rashee Rice drops it. The Texans get the ball back, and then Ollie, you know, that was what happened. There was a short field, so all they had to do was, go down the short field, score a touchdown, and then on the ensuing drive, Mahomes throws a pick. Um, well, he was looking for Hollywood Brown. That gets picked off. The Chiefs then force another punt. They get the ball back again with a chance. And then one of the most reliable players on the Chiefs for, this whole dynastic run, Travis Kelce, I mean, it wasn't a great throw from Mahomes, but, bobbles out of his hands, bounces off him. Aziz Al-Shaair with the pick. They kick a field goal, they up 10, and then that's curtains really. So it was definitely a case of kind of drop catches in this one. And obviously the Texans defense is for real, for sure. They got three picks of Mahomes, held him to his lowest pass rating, lowest completion percentage of his career, pressured him on 18 of his dropbacks. So, that Texans defense is for real. The Chiefs somehow still have a chance after some of the games went their way earlier in the day on Sunday. But yeah, that kind of sums it up really.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that Fletcher had obviously gone off the thing then. Nah, yeah, obviously. I mean, we'll get into it in a minute because we'll go into the playoff implications. I don't want to waste time talking about all of that now and then talking about it again in 5 minutes. But as you said, shout out to the Texans. Davis Mills, I said it last week that if they make the playoffs and win a playoff game, I said if they make, if they make the playoffs and win a playoff game this year, Davis Mills is going to forever go down. And I mean, God, if they made like an AFC Championship game run, Davis Mills will forever go down in Texans folklore
Mm.
as the man that saved their season. They were
Yeah.
staring at what 3-5 or was it 3-5? How many games they won on the trot now?
So they were 3-5, and
And
now
now
they
they're eight
are
and five.
8-5. So they won
So
five in a row.
they were sat there at 3-5, season pretty much over. Their starting quarterback injured. Davis Mills comes in, saves their season, wins two of those games. Obviously, well, or three of those games. CJ Stroud able to come in and obviously pick up where Davis Mills left off, winning those games as well. Massive win for the Texans. I say this was a bigger win for the Texans. Obviously, this was a massive win for both of these, a massive game for both of these teams. But for the Texans to make the playoffs, they had to win this game. They had to get that edge over the Chiefs
Mm.
going down into that stretch.
Yeah.
They did that. They now control their destiny. They own that playoff spot. Um, yeah, massive, massive performance from them. Shout out to them, and obviously a big loss for the Chiefs that we'll get into in a minute. But I
And shout
suppose
out to
moving,
CJ Stroud as well. Under duress in this game, there was definitely times, especially when the Chiefs forced, five straight three and outs, you could see he was getting frustrated because the ball was getting battered down. He was getting pressured. There was lots of different exotic blitzes being made that actually were somewhat successful. As I said, Chris Jones got a sack. George Karlaftis got a sack as well, but he gutted it out. And when I needed it most, there was actually a play that kind of epitomized it really, because if Chris Jones gets to CJ Stroud, he tackles him, and they're out of field goal range. Um, and this was with the score at 10 apiece.
yeah,
But he escapes somehow from Chris Jones and then completes a first down. They go down on that drive and then score a touchdown with Agumbawale, who the backup running back, because unfortunately Nick Chubb went out with an injury in this game as well. Um, so that
yeah.
kind of set the tone, and then that was kind of the ending play as well. I mean, it
Yeah,
didn't have
shout out to CJ Stroud
yeah,
and the Texans in this
100%.
game.
Shout out to CJ Stroud. He really impressed me in this game. He had a lot of
Yeah,
poise, especially with Tanico Collins, who had two massive catches in this one. I think he had like a 50-yard catch and a 40 odd yard catch as well.
yeah,
Trent McDuffie got injured in this game, hyperextended knee. He didn't come back to the game. And
yeah,
as I said, Wanya Morris on the first play of the game, the backup left tackle or backup swing tackle, really,
yeah,
playing at left tackle, then goes out and you're already down three starting offensive linemen. It's always going to be a tough when you're like, up against that Texans D line. But shout out to Essa Pole as well, the guy that came in for Wanya Morris. He allowed one pressure on 24 snaps against Daniel Hunter. So he actually had a heck of a game.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, I watched this game for the most part. It it got to somewhat early, late in the set. Well, got to about halftime. I was like, I'm watching
Mm.
this in bed. Like,
Mm.
it's one of those games at this point where, like, if I fall asleep, oh well. Like,
Yeah.
oh well. Um, it was just actually, how sweaty is it getting over there at the moment? I know you say you're in a better
It's
mood today. You're a
pretty
bit more
it's pretty
optimistic today, but
sweltering now, to be fair. Feel like I'm inside a sauna. Um, so I would say Ollie he asked me this last week, where are you on the panic meter? And I'm pretty sure, did I say six, Ollie, right?
I think he said 6 or 7. Yeah,
6 or 7? Yeah, it's solid 8 right now, I think. Until it's mathematically assured they're not going to make the playoffs, I'm always going to believe that there's a chance.
yeah,
I know a lot of things have to go their way, and I'm sure once we get to it, we'll go through those playoffs
yeah.
scenarios. But yeah, let's move on to the next game.
Yeah, let's go to a game that could turn out to end up affecting you over there in that playoff race, and that is the Steelers and the Ravens. This was the battle of the how the hell did the Steelers blow the lead that they had in the AFC North? Can they regain it? Yes, they can. The reason, I mean, it's a one-score game. Normally, we'd end up putting these quite up, quite a bit higher. It, however, involved a bit of a comeback to make it a one-score game from the
Yeah,
Ravens with a
yeah.
couple of field goals. The Ravens were never truly in it. I mean, the Steelers couldn't quite properly put them to bed, but the Ravens just were playing a little bit of catch up all game. Ollie, this affects you, I think, a little bit. Well, it's a bit closer to home for yourself. How did this game fare for you, I guess?
I mean, as you said, it wasn't. The scoreline makes it look like a closer game. The Steelers pretty much had control for most of the game. They just weren't able to pull away. Um, and with the Ravens, I mean, Lamar just continued. I mean, is he injured? Is he struggling? Obviously, that's a debate that other people can have. But one thing you can't deny is that he is not playing good football right now, and that has continued in this game. And that's obviously played a big part of why the Ravens have struggled because the entire Ravens team is basically set up for Lamar Jackson to have to do every single thing, because that's the way that their head coach has set up that team, and that's why they've been unsuccessful, in my opinion, because they rely too much on Lamar Jackson. And obviously, when he is, whatever it is, dealing with an injury, maybe dealing with slightly, lackluster play, they lose games because of it. So that's why they lost this game. Um, Steelers obviously take the advantage now in the division. But it's sort of you say it matters with the playoff race and over. I've said for the last couple of weeks, I don't think the AFC North is going to. I think this is going to be the first year in quite a few years where the AFC North has not had two playoff teams. And we only get one team in, and it's going to just come down to who wins. Who wins the end this division between these two teams. They play each other one more time. And it's going to just come down to obviously that result. The Ravens will have to win that and then hope that the Steelers lose one of their other remaining games. So just the
Which
slogfest that is the AFC North this year. Usually it's a slogfest in a good way. This year it's been a slogfest. Well, I say a slogfest in a bad way. Slogfest in a bad way for a neutral fan because the AFC North has obviously been underwhelming this year. But that has obviously been a massive bonus to me because that means that no other team is getting anywhere close to the Browns' strength of schedule tiebreaker because of how many less wins that this division has compared to every other division in the in the conference. So yeah,
yeah.
just not there's not really too much to take away from this game. Other than as I said, Lamar Jackson continues to struggle, and Steelers are able to do what they always do, and that's win ugly games.
I was going to
Yeah.
say though, there was a really pivotal part in this game towards the end where it looked like the Ravens were going to win this game. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it, Ollie. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it or not. Isaiah Likely catches the ball, extends, he's in the end zone, makes, gets his foot down, has two movements, and then the ball comes out. Now, by the letter of the law, that should be called a touchdown because he had the ball, he made a movement with the ball with two steps, um, but they called it incomplete, and then obviously they go for it on fourth down and don't get it, and then the Steelers win.
I I
Um,
I
I
didn't
wanted
see
to know
it.
your thoughts on that. Oh, you haven't
I
seen
I,
it?
I didn't see it, but
Did you see it
I'm going.
first?
Did he catch it? Did he catch it? It like running into did he catch it and then run 10 yards into the end zone,
He
or
was
was the
already in
catch
the end zone.
and what he was already in the end zone with the catch?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's not a touchdown because you need to gain possession. If he was running, if he had caught the ball, ran 5 yards, broke the plane, and then fumbled it, then obviously it's already scored a touchdown because he broke the plane. But when you're in the end zone, you need to make full control of the ball, and obviously to come down with it. And obviously, I haven't seen it, so don't get me wrong.
Mm.
But obviously, I'm assuming that they obviously deemed that he did not make completely secure the catch, and obviously came out just early enough. But Obviously, I can sit here and say that, but I'm not going to sit here and say it was the wrong or right decision because I didn't see the play.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a fair enough judgment. And you're right. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is not playing like himself. Um, Also, the Ravens had a chance to come back in it right at the end, but were only able to drive like 30 yards down the field and then time expired. So, they've only got themselves to blame for, this game and the sloppiness of the play.
Yeah.
But fair play to the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers, who got his first, I think he got his first rushing touchdown in like 4 years.
Yeah, old man Rogers still got some juice in him.
I'm not. I'm
Um,
not letting us finish the game on that. Fuck the Steelers and fuck Aaron Rodgers. Okay, moving on.
well, I was going to
Sorry.
say, you say that the Steelers need to lose at least one more. Well, Kirby Joseph is waiting for his old son to return just
There
before
we are.
Christmas.
There we are.
Rodgers, um, which I
Is he
do
back
again.
now, Fletch?
Kirby Joseph, he will be. I promise you, like he could have
Because
a leg
he's
amputated,
been
but he'll
out
be
for
out for
like
the
most of the
Steelers game.
season, I swear.
He keeps showing up as inactive. He's not been put on any IR. He's not been put on anything like that. And again, I'm almost certain like you could amputate his leg, and he'd want to be out there for that Steelers game because he hates Aaron Rodgers. Really hates Aaron Rodgers, but always plays really well against him as well. I can't remember
Hmm.
the last time they played, and he didn't have a pick against him. Um, Moving on to another game that I guess somewhat affects you there, Tom, although I don't think you are at this moment in time vying for the division anymore. The
They're out
Broncos
of
and
the
the
division now.
No,
Raiders.
we're out of the division, so
Yeah,
it's the first time in
official.
10 seasons where uh we don't have a chance to win the division. So it's going to be either the currently 8-4 Chargers who play tonight,
Yep.
or the 11-2 um
Broncos.
Broncos, who are going to win the division. The Chiefs' 9-year reign atop the AFC West is over.
Well, obviously, we're just moving on to that one. We don't really have to cover much into it. It was not a good game by any stretch of the imagination. The only thing I think that really needs being said is the Broncos just they win.
Continue
I mean,
winning.
it might not be pretty, it might not be nice, but they will
I
crawl their
cannot
asses
wait for
over
the
that anyway.
Broncos to get blown out in the first round of the playoffs by a better team. Cannot wait for it. I'll be
That's
lick
going to be a
I
hilarious
will
clip
be
if it doesn't
licking
happen.
my lips at it, and I really hope it's the Chiefs that somehow make it and just knock them out. So that would
That
be
would be fun.
poetic justice for all
That
the fucking Broncos fans, bandwagon fans. Oh, the Broncos. Oh, we're 11-2. Oh, who the fuck are they beating, man? They just keep
I
winning. It's not a
I'm
good team,
I'm
man.
I hate to do this as a Browns fan, and because I hate the Broncos, but I don't think a Chiefs fan can talk about bandwagon fans. If I'm being completely honest,
You can say what you want, man. I'm just saying this season, there were so many people in the off season that were like, the Broncos are their favorite team. And they've
I have
ended up
never
winning all
seen
these
anyone.
games. So,
I've never seen anyone go, I'm in a bandwagon for the Broncos
well,
until
you
now.
clearly weren't listening this off
Well,
season because all the NFL media were bandwagoning for the Broncos in the off season. So,
I say,
I,
well,
sorry,
I've seen
yeah, but I have a
bandwagons for
different
the
meaning of bandwagon. I don't think that's just media love, isn't it? I thought you meant bandwagon as in like fans. Sorry,
no, no, I don't mean like fans. No.
I was
as I
going to
say,
say because a Chiefs fan cannot talk about bandwagoning with fans. Media, fair enough, fair enough. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. They were
I'm not a
joking up for the
bandwagon fan.
Broncos.
So, come on,
no,
don't,
I'm
you
not
are.
don't.
saying you
Not
are.
saying you are.
I'm just
Um,
saying no Chiefs fan can say that. That's like a Lakers fan. It doesn't matter if you were born in LA and have been a Lakers fan for 100 years. You still can't say anything about bandwagon fans. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
yeah,
get
yeah.
it. I get it. I'm
Um,
just bitter with the Broncos are somehow winning these games, and they just I don't think they're a very good team. But I mean, the Raiders aren't a very
They're
good team
winning
either.
games, and I still think their quarterback sucks. So it's funny. I completely agree with you. They win games because they got a good team, they got a good defense, and a good head coach.
And I
Um,
cannot stand Sean Payton. I really just want to
no,
see
I mean
him
that's fair. That one.
lose
But
in the first round of playoffs and see his ugly mug face not look very happy.
I think it's a fair point about no one bandwagon in the
I've never seen
Broncos.
Tom this. I've
But
never seen Tom like this, man. This is funny. Sorry,
Look,
Tom. I'm sorry to laugh
neither
at
of
your
us have
expense,
known
but
a
I'm
point
like,
where the Chiefs are backed into a corner, and now we're seeing them coming out swinging. And
Tom's coming out here swinging, man. I mean, I've never
um,
seen him use this language before.
it's it's quite funny though. You say about the Broncos not having bandwagons. Well, I when I started watching 12 years ago, there were
Oh,
Broncos bandwagon because
yeah,
of Peyton Manning.
I meant the
Um,
last few years.
oh yeah, I'm just saying like that was one of the first. Like the
I'm gonna do what Ollie does whenever the Steelers are now mentioned. I'm just gonna say fuck the Broncos. So there we go.
that's fine.
Although
Um,
I will say though, whether it was the Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, whoever it was, to usurp that 9 year run, for one team to finally break through and do that, their fan base is of course going to be incredibly
Mm,
as someone
insufferable.
that's had to watch the Ravens and Steelers win my division every year,
yeah.
I can certainly feel how obviously that would be a big moment within the division, and not just for Broncos fans, but for Chargers fans as well that are looking at and going, maybe finally now we got some parity and we can creep in the other years, but
Mm.
um, as I said, shout out to the Broncos. They do obviously deserve, as we said, I don't know how they're winning these games, but they are winning these games and they deserve credit for that. So
Yeah,
shout
yeah.
out to
I
them for
mean,
winning
I
the
do.
game.
I'll throw in here as another person who supports a division that was regularly won by one team for a long, long time, and
Yeah.
then the Vikings turn up and have a few good years, and it does. It says like, well, look, like it's opened up a little bit.
There's a chink
There'll
in
be
the
an opportunity
armor
there.
of the team that's been the juggernaut team for the past decade, basically. Um, and yeah, I mean I just hope the Chiefs use it as motivation, whichever team does lift that AFC West trophy, just to be like, we want that back next year. So we'll just have to see how the rest of the season plays out. Obviously, I'm rooting for the Chargers to lose three of the
Well,
next
yeah,
five
get
games.
we keep doing this where we keep saying we'll get to the playoff stuff, and then we keep
Yeah.
talking about the playoff stuff, and then we
Um.
get to the
Yeah,
playoff
okay.
stuff and have
Let's
nothing to
actually get
talk
to the
about.
playoff
Right.
stuff then.
Well,
Well,
Is there any other
let's
games?
I was
four
going to
games to
say, but
mention, and we'll
yeah,
just
and
mention one thing on each game.
yeah, because none of these rest of these games are worth more than 10 seconds.
Rams Cardinals. All I'll say on it is I'm crapping myself for Sunday.
Hmm.
Sam, take this to the bank. Sam don't even listen, but I will tell him myself. I'm not looking forward to playing the Rams next week. SoFi or Ford Field, I don't care. I'm not looking forward to playing this team. But not only will I'm happy to see Colston Loveland get a touchdown this week, love seeing Blake Corum get some love as well this weekend as well, personally.
Cardinals are 3-10, by the way. I think people are like glossing over, like they're having a they're 3-10, so
Yeah,
they
no.
are bad.
Jonathan
Card
Gannon is coaching his last few games for the Cardinals. So I'm pretty sure of that.
One thing I'll say on the Cardinals, I was asked a question this weekend, like what's a team that you always just kind of forgets there? For me, the Cardinals.
Hmm.
Which
It's
is
a
a
weird
shame
thing.
because they're one of the oldest teams in the NFL.
I think they
No,
are
no,
the oldest team in the
Or
NFL.
the oldest
it's the
team, yeah.
Bears. I'm
Yeah, oh,
pretty
no,
sure
of
it's
course
the
it is the
Bears,
Bears,
but
yeah.
it's
But
Bears and
Cardinals are up
Cardinals
there.
together.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but it's one of them. Like every time I have to do something off memory and write all teams down, I
Forget them.
usually go
Yeah.
right division, 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 and I'm always
I
missing
mean,
one team in the NFC West, and it's always the Cardinals.
that's more so just Arizona in general, I think, though. I
Yeah.
think, well, I mean, what even is in
Well,
Arizona? I don't
Arizona
really know.
State, who are
Well,
coming to London next year. Um,
why do you think they're going to London? Because there's nothing in Arizona to do.
that's a fair point. Um,
I
then
agree there. I mean, they are just kind of irrelevant. And
apart
I
from when they
mean,
had,
Michael Wilson is like the only bright spot. They're him and Trey McBride, basically.
yeah,
The only two bright spots.
And they're pretending that Kyler Murray's injured, so they don't have to play him. So it's
yeah.
just a hilarious situation.
Yeah.
Um, However, I do hear that Kyler Murray is having a fantastic season on COD at the moment.
Mate, I've heard he's putting up LeBron numbers
Well,
on them COD down
yeah,
lobbies. So
it's starting to get bored. It's starting to move on to Fortnite.
bloody hell.
Seahawks, Falcons. Seahawks absolutely dominated the Falcons. This Falcons team
Shout
with
out
Rory Chapman.
Nick Emanwari, I think it
Emanwari,
is.
yeah.
He, in this game, was an absolute monster. He had a sack, he had an interception, he had a tackle for loss. and he blocked the field goal as well. He definitely should be
Yep.
NFC
Sh
Defensive Player of the Week.
Showing all of the people that loved his combine performance and said, all the people that said that, oh, just because he ran a fast 40 doesn't mean he's very good, uh, proving all of those guys wrong.
And Rashid Shaheed as well,
Yep.
a great run back return for him when the game was 6-6 at the half, and then at the end it was what was it like
It,
47 something?
37, yeah, it was a hilarious game, Todd. As you said, 6-6 until like the half, and then Seattle just went, oh yeah, shit, we're playing the Falcons, and then remembered what they were doing, and obviously just went ahead and completely stormed away. The Seahawks and the Rams are the class of the NFC.
Mm.
They are the top two teams. They are the two teams to beat. Uh, McDonald is so good. If I'm a Ravens fan, I'm so angry right now. I'm sat here with John Harbaugh, Jim Hart, whichever one it is. That's how bad he is. I can't remember which, if it's John or Jim.
John.
And and you just watched your team let this guy go and be the coach of the Seattle Seahawks, go and be the first Seattle Seahawks coach in their history to get back-to-back 10-win seasons in your first two seasons as a coach. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL already at such a young age. They've got an absolute
And the
hell of a
NFC
head
West has
coach.
been an incredible division this year. It's got,
It always is.
like it's those two, but then it's
Always
also,
is.
don't forget the 49ers who are 9-4 and on the bye. Like it's like
Yep.
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
crazy. You got two 10
Yep.
and 3 teams atop. Like, and
Crazy.
one took over the other one, like because the Seahawks early had the lead, but then when the Rams won, then
Yeah.
they took back the lead. It's insane. It's gonna go right down to the wire.
And this is what we talk like when you look at so like this is what's gonna sometimes it can hinder you in the playoffs, sometimes it for some reason really weirdly works because you are going to be so battle tested going into the
Yeah.
playoffs,
Yeah.
whether it's because of the 6 games against whoever's in your division. Well, four because the Cardinals.
Four games.
Um,
Yeah.
but you are very, very battle tested. Again, like when you
Mm.
get into the playoffs, sometimes you're a bit too battle tested. It's a slog in the season. Sometimes it works in your favor because there's nothing anyone can throw at you anymore. But it's
Yeah.
always a very good division to keep an eye on. Anyone that has Kyle Shanahan, um, Sean McVay, and whatever the hell's going on with the Seahawks right now, that's a division you want to be keeping an eye on.
I mean,
Um,
those three head coaches alone. I mean, that's no division boasts three head coaches like Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDonald, and Sean McVay. I mean, you got Sean McVay and then the defensive Sean McVay in Mike McDonald.
Yeah, yeah,
That you could pretty much call
basically.
him that, pin him as that, and even that's probably unfair to him because how good he has been. He deserves, to be in his own right. But final thing on this game, the LA Rams own the Atlanta Falcons' first round pick this year. Sorry, Chapman.
Yes, so that only gonna get better. So
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
crazy.
And yeah, it just goes from bad to worse for the Falcons in a very, very disappointing. And it's now
Just
confirmed
fire Raheem
they
Morris
will
already.
have a
Like, I
losing
mean,
season.
just do it. Just. I
I
mean,
mean, there's no point doing it with 4 games left, but yes, they should do it at the end of the season, 100%.
but Arthur Blank won't do it according to Chapman because he
Yeah,
likes
yeah,
him so much.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Um, Two more games. The Dolphins Jets. The Dolphins blew the Jets away.
yeah.
Um,
The only thing I can say about this game is if we go, what, 6, 7 weeks ago with what it looked like with the Dolphins when they just lost to the Browns, um, and obviously how everyone was feeling about the Dolphins, for them to now have the same record as the Chiefs, credit to them
Mm.
for a lot of teams could have just wavered out and let their head coach, take all of the heat and go and get sacked and go and have a terrible season. They have somewhat, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not turned their season around. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they've made their season more respectable than what it was and what we were looking at 6, 7 weeks ago. So I think
Oh
that's
yeah,
just the one thing
100%.
you can
And
take
a lot
from
of
that.
credit needs to go to Mike McDaniel,
Yeah, yeah,
because what he's done is taken more off of Tua Tagovailoa's play, and put it into, Devon Achan, who, although he did go out in this game, apparently that was only precautionary because they were already up by that much anyway. But even before he went out, he had a monster game. He's having a monster season. He's a really good to great running back in this league. And taking that pressure off of Tua, it's somewhat of a winning formula. It has been these last few weeks anyway. Yeah, a lot of credit has to go to Mike McDaniel for that because, as Ollie said, they could have just up tools and been like, okay, yeah, that's it, let's move on. But he's really revitalized himself, and I think he probably will get more time in Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, they've won 4 in a row. They've won 5 of the last 6.
Yep.
Like for a team that started 1-6 to win 5 of your last 6, that's a huge turnaround. Like you say, there was clearly they've changed who the targets are. Tyreek Hill being out, they've changed who the targets are. They've started doing some different things. It's working, and it's you cannot take it away from them whatsoever. Then moving on, finally, the last game is the Commanders and Vikings. That was a blowout, literal and a shutout, 31-0 to the Vikings.
That certainly was an NFL game.
Yeah, and
Oh, and actually, no. One thing I will say, which is we said about this, I just fire everyone for Jaden Daniels even playing in this game. What on
mm,
earth are you doing playing Jaden Daniels in this game? You're like you were what 3-9 football team, a guy with all dealing with all of these injuries this season. He is your franchise. He is the only thing going forward for your franchise. Why on earth is he playing in this game? He did play in this game and he hurt his elbow again. So just malpractice, absolute
yeah,
malpractice.
100%. I agree. And any thought of them bringing him back again this season, like, why are you doing that? Just don't do it. Just shut him down for the season. Just play Marcus Mariota. The season's
Just
lost. Already
just go
was
get
lost
that bid. Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Just don't do it. But they seem to think that they want to do it again anyway. And then also, I just wanted to say, prayers up for Zach Ertz. He's been in the league a long time. Really good tight end in this league. Scored a decent amount of touchdowns. I think he's got over 800 receptions, something like that, in his 10-year career. But he had a horrible injury, and that ends his season. He tore his ACL, and he's 35, so that could potentially be it for him. In of glitter, and he won a Super Bowl as well with the Eagles early in his career. So yeah, really successful career for Zach Ertz if that is the last time that he suits up.
Yeah. Um. Only other comment. What we're gonna say now about number 9. His alter ego came out. Nine returned. Um. That was 16 of 23, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a passer rating of
Yeah,
129.2. He
just to
meditated
rub
the right way.
just to rub salt in the wound for Commanders. You didn't just get blown out. You got blown out by JJ McCarthy, who is statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL this year. So down bad, guys. Down bad.
Yeah. Um, that concludes all of the games. I want you to give me in one sentence. We have the Chargers and Eagles tonight.
Yeah.
One, maybe 2 sentences. How do you think the game's going to go this evening?
You want to start,
I'll
Ollie,
let
or should I?
I'll go. I'll just. I don't really care about the game. It's just purely playoff implications. And Chargers win. Then that's all she wrote for the Chiefs. Chargers lose, then slight chance.
I'm gonna say give Saquon Barkley the ball because I know it's not worked so far this season, but if there's one problem that this Chargers defense has, it is it's outside runs. And if the Eagles can, you know, dictate this game with their offensive line and give Saquon Barkley the ball, and he's actually able to, create yards and, have a successful game, I think they win this game. But yeah, you're right. Ollie's right. If the Chargers win, it's curtains for the Chiefs. If they don't win, you're telling me there's still a chance.
Yeah. Um, so quickly then, while we talk about the Chiefs and the playoffs and what
Yeah.
whether the Chargers win and how that changes it. Um, we'll do that really quick now. How is the playoff? The playoffs are looking well. Denver in the AFC. Denver is a top in the number one seed. The Patriots are in the number two seed. The Jags are in the number three seed, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in the number four seed. Those are your division leaders. Then, following in are the Buffalo Bills, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Houston Texans. Um, just double check, like if the Chargers lose, do they
Yeah,
officially fall out and bump the Colts back in? I'm pretty sure the
I
Colts go ahead of them.
don't think, and not according to what's in front of me, I think they have a tiebreaker. Um,
Well, strength of victory and strength of schedule's tougher for the is
because
worse than the
the
Texans,
best
but
thing
better.
for the Chargers is their conference record, and this is why when we go on to the Chiefs, um, why that's such a big thing for them. Because even if they lose that game, so obviously they won the first game against the Chiefs this season, first game of the season. Me and Tom watched that game. Um, if they lose the second game to the Chiefs, obviously they will split the division series. Then it will go down to conference record, and there is no way. I'm pretty certain. Let me double check. Yeah, there's no way unless the Chargers lose out. There's no way that the Chiefs can overtake the Chargers in the conference
Standings,
record
yeah.
tiebreaker because the Chargers are 7-2, I think, or six and
Yep,
two in the conference this year, whereas the
yep.
Chiefs are like 3-5.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to for the Chiefs, and this is why the Chiefs, if in any normal situation, if you said the Chiefs are like it's what 2 games, 2.5 games out, 4 games left, obviously 5 games for the Chargers. You put that situation on, a lot of people would still bet on the Chiefs just in a vacuum. But what it comes down to is these tiebreakers, and that's what is so tough for the Chiefs because the Bills they're not going to get that tiebreaker. The tiebreaker won't matter for that anyway because the
No.
Bills are 9-4. They're going to win at least one or two more games.
Mm.
But even if that did, they would win that tiebreaker. The Chargers I just mentioned, obviously there's not really any way the Chiefs can gain a tiebreaker on the Chargers because even if they win that last game against them, they would split the division series but lose out to the conference tiebreaker. And now after last night, Texans winning, they own the head-to-head tiebreaker. They also own the conference tiebreaker. So you can't finish on the same amount of wins as the Chargers or the Texans. You need to finish with a win above them if you're the Chiefs to make the playoffs and to obviously gain their spot. So the Chiefs can only get to 10 wins.
So
The
I'll tell you the scenario of how the Chiefs make the playoffs, right? What they need to hope is that because the Chargers have 5 games left, right? They
yeah,
need the Chargers to go 2-3 in their last
yeah.
5 games to stand any chance. And then they need the Colts to, almost lose out, maybe win one more game. And then they would theoretically be in line with the seventh seed because it wouldn't matter with
If
the
you win out,
Texans.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. If that's what I'm saying. If the
yeah.
Chiefs do manage to win out, then that would be the
I
scenario.
mean, the Colts, I don't think matters because they're not in a playoff spot right now. They don't own a playoff
No.
spot, so you're not. It doesn't matter. Obviously, trying to get ahead of them. It's
Yeah,
the Texans. It's the Texans and the Chargers in 6 and 7.
yeah.
You're not catching the Bills.
No,
As we said, you don't own the tiebreakers over those two teams. So as you
no.
just explained, Tom, that's what you need to happen. You need to win out and just quickly on it. I mean, the Chiefs' final games are pretty nice. Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders. Um, that's obviously much easier than what the Chargers are dealing with their remaining games, which is obviously the Eagles tonight, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Texans, and the Broncos. So, is there a scenario they lose those, 3 of those games for sure? But as we said, this is this is uncharted territory for the Chiefs. NFL website currently has them as a 15% chance um, of making the playoffs, whereas the Texans are at 87 and Chargers are at 60 right now and 74 with a win. But yeah, it's getting to that
Well,
point where any week now could be pretty much official for the Chiefs.
Well, all eyes got to be on that Week 17 game with the Chargers and the Texans as well,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that
yeah.
that's going to be a huge. That's a
That
2 game swing for you.
100%. That would be massive.
and that could be one of those. There could be games. The way that these games fall, we could get. Obviously, you're never going to do this. Players on the field are never going to do this. But we're going to have those games where it's like, maybe if this team would actually be better off losing to that team, which then means that they avoid playing, the Chiefs getting into the playoffs and having to play the Chiefs. So there's going to be a situation where there might be a team like, i.e. the Texans or whatever, or one of those division teams that's going to be sat there going, I have no problem losing this game if it means that I don't have to play the Chiefs and they don't get in as the wild card team, because no one, we can sit here and say what a bad situation the Chiefs are in. If they get into the playoffs, no one's going to want to play Patrick Mahomes. So there is definitely going to be some games left in this season where we're going to be having those conversations and teams are going to be going,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to win this one.
Well, I'm going to say this as well. There is one of our teams as well that is also not just the AFC. It's not just the Chiefs. There is one of our teams that is also in a
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
of a playoff hunt. And for the
Mm.
Browns to make the playoffs, well, they need a whole entire new season to start. Um,
yeah, yeah,
but actually, if we do, oh wait, no, we are talking about the Lions as well. The We're 8-5. We're sat on the eighth seed, just outside the playoffs. Uh, what's really funny is last night, and I say it's really funny, like the last night before the Green Bay Chicago game, the Bears were the number one seed in the NFC.
yeah,
They lose one game, the Rams
yeah,
win. They are now
yeah,
the seventh seed in the
yeah,
NFC. As 1 week has flipped from first to seventh, and this is going to be a very, very, very tight race. The top seed is 10-3. The top
yeah.
seed in the wild cards are 10-3. Like,
Mm.
this is pure chaos, and I don't even know what to think of this one. And it's going to be a case of just let the chips fall. If you're a Lions fan, if you're a Bears fan, if you're, you just got to let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
The interesting one at the moment is whether it's going to be Carolina or Tampa that make their way into via that
It
fourth.
it's weird. It's weird though, Fletch, because as you just explained. I mean, the AFC, we got all of these like 8-4, 8-5 teams in it. As you just said there with the NFC, I mean, one game between what, seventh seed and first seed, but
I mean,
but all the playoff.
The Bears dropped from the first seed to the
Yeah, yeah,
seventh
yeah.
seed
But
after
but
that
it
loss.
but somehow there's actually less playoff scenarios in the NFC than there is in the AFC. Like all of the playoff teams are pretty much decided, as we've been saying the last couple of weeks, because of how good the top teams have been, and obviously separated from everyone else. I mean, it's literally the Lions and Bears. That's all it comes down to. I mean, yes, yeah. Do the Panthers and Buccaneers maybe one of those wins the division, and that obviously is the team that makes the playoffs there. But the
Yeah.
only actual thing we're talking about in terms of these final 4 weeks, in terms of team in the hunt, team dropping out, it's the Bears Lions. That's it, and
Mm.
that's what makes it quite interesting as well, because it's two division teams that how many times do you play each other?
Twice. Well,
No, no,
we
Twice.
got to play them
you,
once. We got to
yeah,
play them once.
you
So it's
One,
play
a
them
lot.
once.
but
And
you
this is
still play
where
each other.
Yeah.
NFL foreshadowing, right? This is where sometimes you've got to look at that schedule and go, "There's the script. The script is right there." Week 18, last game of the
Yeah,
season.
yeah,
Bears at Lions. Dan
yeah,
Campbell at Ben Johnson.
yeah.
There's your storyline.
Mm.
There's the suit. But I will say this: if we lose to the Rams on Sunday, it's all but bye bye. The Bears. Look, I see a situation where the Bears lose this the weekend to the Browns. I also see a situation where they obviously
I
beat
hope
the
not.
Browns. Um, they've got to play the Packers again. They've got to play the Niners. There are some games there that if we're looking, we're competing with them, and then we've still got to play the Rams, the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Bears. It's gonna be a bumpy one, but
Niners are
un,
weird though, just like they're 9-4. They dropped to 9-4. Yeah, they're not actually good. All of their players are injured, and they're somehow 9-4, and they're gonna make the playoffs. So shout
But
out
that's
to
also,
Joel Shanahan.
shout out to Carl Shanahan for what
Yeah,
he's done in getting them to that position. Because even George Kittle said it himself, I think, after the last game, he was like, if you told a, Niners fan at the start of the season that Brock Purdy was going to miss 6 games, George Kittle was going to miss 5 games, and they were going to lose Nick Bosa um, and Fred Warner, and they would be 9-4 after 13 weeks. I'm pretty sure they would have taken that. So
Yeah.
it's been a weird
Yeah.
season for the 49ers. But they've got a win as well over the Rams. I know obviously they got blown out in the rematch, but they've beaten the Rams. Have they beaten the Seahawks? They played them. They played them, I swear. I think they did beat them early in the
Against the
season.
Seahawks. Yeah, they played them once and it was a win. Yeah, first game of the season.
Yeah,
They
but
beat the Seahawks in Seattle as
they
well.
did. Yeah, yeah, they beat the Seahawks in Seattle. So if they can somehow get back to the same record as the Rams and the
Well, I
Seahawks,
mean,
even they could be in with a shout at the division because of their conference record as well. They got really, I think they're 7-2 in the conference. So they've still got a chance as well. It's
yeah,
not just the two-horse race in the NFC West. So
yeah.
it's a crazy one in the NFC. But Ollie, you're right. Like the main team that we're seeing with playoff implications is the NFC North, is the Chicago Bears, is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
And it'll just be seeing how that plays out. As Fletch said, it's a must-win game for the Lions on the road in LA to play the Rams, which should be an
Who
absolutely
you
electric
don't like,
atmosphere.
like I said before, though, I don't want to play them at home.
Mm,
The difference between home and away means nothing.
yeah,
This Rams teams, and they can beat you in any way, shape, or form that they so choose to do so.
yeah.
And granted, he didn't have a great game last week, but there is no hotter quarterback than Matthew Stafford right now.
And
And
even this week, he had a monster game. He had another three
I mean,
touchdowns. This one.
does it matter what stadium you play in? It's two dimes, isn't it? Like it's the same
but
thing, isn't it?
it's I must say that's to say it don't matter what's the two domes plus like it'll be a home crowd anyway for the Lions because the Rams don't have fans.
Yeah.
Um, so but it'd be one of them anyway. So I think we need to wrap it up. We are going to say I was going to say we'll see you on. Don't forget to go to the description of the episode, click all the links, follow us on social media, follow the AW Network, check out the College Football UK podcast, dropping on Thursday morning, where we'll be previewing the playoffs and all the things that went on Championship weekend, and then we'll see you on Thursday for the preview of Week 15 in the NFL. Um, lads, thank you. Realised just ran over it. We were doing really, 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 really well. And I was actually looking at the time thinking, God, that's impressive. And
Always the way with us three. Always the way.
then one conversation. It just last time it was Miles Garrett. This time it was the playoffs. Appreciate yous, and I will see you next week.
Playoffs and Tom coming out with language we've never heard of because of his anger with the Broncos.
Yeah,
Fuck the Broncos.
yeah, that's how hurdle the Broncos.